The word Graben means ditch. The famous shopping street was originally a ditch. On the bank of this ditch lived the poor of the city, but later it also became a red light district. The statue of the Holy Trinity in the middle of the street commemorates the end of the plague. On the sign of an old restaurant is the famous Dear Augustine playing the bagpipes. His story is often told by the coachman, but can also be read at the restaurant. The Graben is now the center of the gemütlich, the jovial Vienna. There are a lot of cafes here. Without them, this city would not be what it is today. They sell praline balls named after Mozart, and the cappuccino is equally good everywhere. The coat of arms of the Habsburg house on the signs of small restaurants and the term royal contractor reminds the visitor of the good old days. Café Schwarzenberg, which is still popular today, was also frequented by Emperor Francis Joseph. The Viennese people gladly pop in for a cup of coffee, to play chess, or to read the papers. There are countless versions of coffee with milk, cream, whipped cream, or ice cream. 1 month is not enough to taste them all. For the real gourmets, even a coffee bean roaster was put into use on the Schleifmühlgasse. The cafes also offer rolls, cakes, doughnuts, and Ischler cakes. The famous Sacher Hotel was the meeting point of the nobility of Europe. The owner, Madame Anna, asked the visitors to sign a white tablecloth, then she embroidered the signatures. The famous Sachertorte, a cocoa-based pastry using a secret recipe with apricot jam and a chocolate coating, was also born here. Each European capital has a classy shopping street. In Vienna, this street is the Kärntner Street. This road, leading towards Carinthia, already existed in the time of Vindobona. The houses near the road were constantly being rebuilt and renovated in line with the current fashion. Therefore, there are some 21st century glass palaces among the Baroque ones. The most popular among them is the Gerngross House, which reflects the view of the St. Stephen's Cathedral in its windows. The dome was not named after the former Hungarian king, but after a martyr from Jerusalem who was stoned to death for his beliefs. This area was a cemetery at the time of the 1679 plague, and almost 100,000 people rest here. First, there was only a small Roman-style chapel in the middle of the cemetery, the remnants of which were found during a renovation in the 20th century. In 1258, a fire destroyed the building and only the base remained intact. The new church was built in 1304, but this time in Gothic style, which was made progressively bigger throughout the centuries. The foundation stone of the first tower was set in 1359, while almost 100 years later the building of the second tower was finished because the main builder, Master Hans Buschbaum, fell off the scaffolding. The pulpit, which is made of wood, is the work of Master Anton Pilgrim, who also immortalized himself among the statues of the cathedral. The red marble burial monument of Frederick III was carved for 30 years and was only finished because the client needed it. Among many famous historical persons, the historian Johannes Cuspinianus and the famous general Eugène de Savoy are also buried here. The gigantic bell was made from the copper cannons left here after the Turkish siege. The bell remained intact until the next siege. It was finally destroyed in 1945. The iron bar seen beside the entrance was the Viennese L, which was used by the customers to measure the length of cloth in order to check the accuracy of the merchants. Since the cathedral is made of sandstone, which doesn't tolerate pollution well, there's almost constantly scaffolding around the building. On the streets, jugglers, musicians, and artists entertain the passers-by. The Providence Well, which is an allegorical expression for the four rivers of Vienna, is a nice spot on the Neuer Markt Square. There's also a log on the corner of the Stock im Eisenplatz Square, which is famous for the fact that every wandering guild member has put a nail into it. Southeast from here, at the Himmelpfortgasse, stands the former cloister with the same name. According to legend, an elderly nun ran away and returned only 7 years later when she surfeited from carnal life. No one recognized her escape because every time she was supposed to have been on duty, the statue of Virgin Mary stepped down from the pedestal and did her duty instead of her. The statue is still under the gate.